Now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of what Indians are all about.
I still say we Indian people are believers in the truth. This is the way of life that was given to your people. You're born an Indian, you're going to die an Indian. Indianness is a good life. You're facing an Indian this afternoon.
This week on Muskogee Vision, we bring you From the Vault, Broken Journey, a documentary from the year 1986 that examines the Native American experience in the prison system. We hope you enjoy the trip back in time this week, and thanks for watching Muskogee Vision.
It can be a surprisingly short journey from drinking with friends on a Saturday night to a 20-year sentence in the state pen. Statistics show a grim connection between alcohol, drugs, and Native American imprisonment. The toll can be heavy, the loss in human potential enormous. Many Indian youth end up in treatment centers, institutions, and hospitals. Those who end up behind bars see everything they could have been disappear with the closing of the prison door. There are 27 correctional facilities in the state of Oklahoma, but there's only one maximum security prison known as Big Mac in McAllister. It houses hardcore, high-risk criminals. As 39-year-old Indian inmate Richard Walker has experienced, prison is a grim and frightening place. Richard is a 5-time loser, serving 5 consecutive sentences in Big Mac for burglary.
Well, to begin with, I'm not blaming nobody else but myself. And because I'm the one that went out and got in trouble. And I don't know if this has anything to do with it or not, but I was 5 years old when my father passed away. He died of a heart attack back in '52. And when I was being brought up, it was just my mother. I had 4 sisters and 1 brother, and I'd do what I want and just get away with a lot of stuff, and I was spoiled. I was a baby of the family, and I felt I was spoiled. I'd get my way, and then I started drinking beer when I was about 9. And my grandfather and uncle, they'd drink all the time, so I'd be with them, and I'd sit on their lap and just start drinking. That's where I started drinking beer. Then, as I was still, growing up, I just started liking beer and started drinking. And when I was a teenager, I started drinking again, and that was just my downfall. That's my weakness. That was my weakness. I'd be alcohol. Every time I get in trouble, it was alcohol related. Every time, every single last time. And just things got from worse to worse, and that's been my downfall. Just every time I'd get in trouble, I'd hit the bottle first and then go out. Probably didn't realize what I was doing. Vaguely remember, but I'd get in trouble. And next thing you know, I'd commit a felony, and they'd file charges on me. I'd go to court. There were some young inmates just come in here. Okay, they get with people that are maybe the big shots, the high rollers, or whatever, and because they want to be with somebody that'll, you know, help them out or something. Watch out on, because they're scared. They won't admit it, but they're scared. All right, and they get involved with different things, all kinds of things in prison. They get involved with homosexuality, beer drinking, gambling, debts, and everything. They get involved with that, but deep down inside, they don't want to get involved. But they do, because they don't want to get stabbed, they don't want to get beat up, they don't want to get go to protection. That's why they're involved. Since I've been locked up, the majority of my time has been here in OSP, McAllister. And I've seen senseless killings. I've seen a guy get killed over a pack of cigarettes. I've seen a guy get killed just over a argument, over a basketball game out there where they go out and play among each other. It's so that's why every day you wake up and get out of your cell, you gotta, the way I look at it, the way I do, I just, you know, I'm fixing to leave my cell, and I go down there and say, well, I'm gonna watch my step every day, and I do. But I've seen guys get killed because they were too drunk. They pick a fight, and anymore, if you start a fight in here, you have to kill the guy. Very seldom you'll see two guys that got in a fight go talk it over. They separate them. Once they get a chance to creep on them or get them, they'll kill them. But it's just, it's possible every day. A guy can get killed every day. Very possible.
"24-year-old David Harjo is serving a 20-year sentence in the pen for robbery. Though his journey took a different course, David's destination was the same as Richard's, behind bars.
It's my second time in the joint. I done a prior offense of robbery by force a few years ago, about 6 years ago. And, I got about 4 years done on this one. You know, I guess I was always a little wild, you know. Mom and Dad, they're Christians, you know, and they'd always tell us about, you know, Christian life and about all this, and but it never sunk into my head. I was always where I wanted to do things like average teenager want to do this and, you know, do that, but I always wanted to be a little bit more than that, you know, like I want to do things my way, and I don't want to be grounded, and I don't want to do this, and because I don't want to, nobody tell me what to do, you know. And they tried their best to teach me that, but I just want to be my own person, and so I got involved my own way of doing things, and it eventually led to, you know, further and further, and finally in here. You know. I think about a lot of things, like, you know, I'll be doing back here. Like, I've got 2 daughters out there now, and I could be out there raising them, but you know, I just one of them things where, you know, yeah, I think a lot about that. But then, you know, it kind of bothers me when I think about that, so I try not to, but it's hard not to, you know. But yeah, I think about a lot of things I could be doing out there, but I don't got nobody blaming myself, really, and I just got to take it from here. You know. I used to drink whiskey and everything, boy, and I never did take dope very much, but a couple of my buddies turned me on to some stuff. When I get all wild and stuff, and one time I went to this bar, man, and I busted this dude in the face, man, because I didn't like him, and I didn't know that till the next day. You know, they told me, and I said, well, he must have done something to me to try to justify my actions, but they said, well, the guy didn't do nothing. And I said, well, he must have, you know, because you know, when you're drunk and all high and all, you just really feel good. I know I used to get out of it, man. You know, I used to do stuff that I don't even remember doing, man. And that just, I mean, that was all part of the, you know, where I was growing up. And just, I don't know, it just affected me. And the alcohol and all this, man. It just, a lot of my decisions, man, when I was kind of wild, it affected me a lot. You know, I'd act irrationally. Always heard stories about the joint and everything, and was going to Lexington, you know, and the receiving center is. And I had long hair then, and I didn't want to cut my hair. And I was in line, and I was thinking, man, I ain't going to cut my hair. And but the inmate was a barber, you know. I thought it was a police barber, but it was an inmate. He said, "You're next," and I said, "Nah, I can't handle this, man." They said, "Well, you're gonna have to cut it, or the guards will cut it for you, however you want to do it." And I said, "Ain't nobody gonna cut my hair." And finally, this other inmate said, "Well, you better do it, man. Why you got to, you know, cut it the easy way, or they do it the hard way." So I said, "All right." But I sat up on that barber chair like, "Hey, all right, man. You know. It's gonna take the police to cut my hair, so I'll go ahead and I try to be all tough about it, you know. But they cut my hair and everything, and the whole feeling of it didn't sink in until I was in my cell that night, and I was thinking, man, I'm here in the joint, man. You know, and, I had a number and everything. You know. Back then they call you by your number. You know, me and 3 other dudes and buddies, we got drunk and I whipped this one dude over here by the rotunda. Was coming out of mess hall, and a partner fired him up, man. And these key men didn't see nothing. Right away they said, I guess naturally they thought Indians get drunk and they was troublemakers. Right away the head guard said, the Indians done it, you know. Well, we went up to Full Run up there, and everybody locked down. They was locking everybody down. And they tried to call us out here, but we wouldn't come out here. And everybody locked down, except us Indians. We was drunk, you know. And we broke off some broom handles and stuff, and we put our headbands on and stuff. And we said, let's come on with it, you know. And they come in from the front and come in from the back. And they had riot helmets on and everything, man. I ain't never seen that many police in all my life, man. They come in from the front and the back. They had a front leading the mattress, the one coming in from the front. When they were swinging them sticks, and from the back they was coming in, man. And that leader of it from the back had his shield up, and he was fixing to lay a good one on my head. Well, he was back to that club like that. When I laid into him, hit him in the mouth, and I started fighting. We just all got down with it, boy, and they whooped the hell out of us, man. They had us down and put leg irons and handcuffs on us, and was kicking on us, and took us out of Rotunda, and beat us up pretty good, and took us out to the infirmary. One day, man, I just felt so tired, man. And I just got my cell and got down on my knees, and I said, Lord, I said, it's getting heavy, man. It's getting heavy, man. I said, I can't handle this no more. I said, I'm tired of lockup. And I said, I can't handle it no more, man. I said, I'm just, help me, I just threw up my arms, man. I said, I give up, Well, right then, it seemed like, man, just a burden lifted off, man. I felt real good, feeling, man. And I said, praise the Lord, man. I was in my cell, man. I said, praise the Lord, man. Then I looked at my door to see if no guard was passing by and see me, So I said, Then I said, well, what the? I said, I feel great. I was thinking to myself, I feel great, man.
Captain Bob Bryant, who has been with the state penitentiary system for 10 years, knows firsthand the tense, explosive atmosphere produced by long-term confinement.
Well, I guess one of the worst things I've seen here at OSP was my first 2 weeks as an officer here. I was a correctional officer cadet, trainee, and the first inmate that I saw killed was an Indian inmate that had been dead for probably 2 or 3 hours, that had already been stiff, his throat had been slashed. And it's something that, it was awful, kind of hard for me to put out of my mind, because it was the first time I'd seen anybody killed, and it had to be an Indian, and that just struck home with me because he was an Indian. Most of our Indian inmates are in here for robbery, burglary, small petty crimes like that. We do have a couple on death row. The Indian inmates here, that's one reason we tried to form the Indian Club, give them something to do, give them something to join together. It gives them a chance to, some of them, that's their form of religion. They practice, they grew up around powwow, stomping grounds, and that's, that we do have church services here where they can, they can go to church. I find that most of the Indian population here is from the Baptist background. They either went to a Baptist church or their families were Baptist. When you come into the penitentiary, especially if you're a young Indian, that's something that you're going to have to face is homosexuality. Whether you want to be or not, you may be forced into that situation in order to save your life. A lot of Indians probably on the street or in any inmate wouldn't be that way, but it's forced upon him. It's something he has to do for his own protection. You know, he wants to live, so he'll do anything. But it's a problem that we always contend with here. And but it's still here. It's something that we can't totally stop. I've seen a lot of Indians come and go from this institution, and a lot of them are repeat offenders. So there's something somewhere that we're not doing right because they keep coming back. And that's the biggest problem I see here is the Indian populations. Ones I see leave within a year or 2 years, they're back. And most of them tell me a big part of their problem is they get out on the street, they don't have no skills, no education, no training. They can't find a job, so the first thing they do is they go rob or steal to make money. And they get caught, they're back in the penitentiary again. And like I say, a lot of them are repeat offenders, so they'll end up with doing 20, 30 years for maybe a real small burglary because they've got that after former label on them then. You got a lot of young Indian inmates in the institution. But most of them that are young that come in this institution are high school dropouts. You know, they didn't finish school. They didn't have nothing to do. They run around, start drinking and getting on drugs, and first thing you know, they're in trouble, and they end up in an institution. And of course, this being a maximum security institution, this institution here has got the worst of the crop. You know, this is it right here at OSP. But a lot of times, it seems like when an Indian inmate gets out of the penitentiary, he's kind of on his own. He gets out of the penitentiary and he goes back to his family, back home to the same background that he got in trouble in. He goes back to the same town that he come from, because that's where, if an Indian inmate gets out here and he's from McAllister, usually he stays in McAllister. He gets out on the street and he runs around with the same crowd that he ran around with before he came in here, and then he's right back in the penitentiary. He doesn't get a job. He just, loafs around, starts on drugs or alcohol, and he's going to end up right back in here.
Prison life is a reality for many women as well. 305 women prisoners are confined at Mabel Bassett Correctional Center in Oklahoma City. Theodosia Wheeler, a grandmother, has been incarcerated at Mabel Bassett 4 years. In her case, the link between alcohol abuse and imprisonment is clear.
When I was growing up, when I got a can of beer or a quart of wine, I thought I was, hey, I did something real. It was just taboo, but I mean, hey, I did it, But if they gave me drugs back then, I wouldn't know what it was. I just couldn't. But I knew I could relate the ideal of alcohol and beer, but I didn't know anything else. I never have tried drugs, I tried alcohol when I was maybe about 16, 17, and I stayed with it. And when I get out of here, I don't know how it's going to go. I really don't. I just have to, I tell myself every day that I don't need it because this is why I'm here. I can't control it. I'm not a social drinker. I didn't know what the word social drinker meant. I thought, if you get two people together, that's being social, And it got so that I didn't need two to drink. I just need one, I've been in here 3 years, February 17th, in the system the last time. I'm doing a total of 41 years. Right now I'm doing a 20, and I got 20 piggyback with that. Then I got a 21 back of this one. I guess I'm not what you call, I come from a good family. the white people would say upper middle class. I never need it for anything. And right now, if they say, Tweet, you can go home if you're promised to stay on live within your income. I have enough income to not starve, but I don't have enough for my alcohol. And to have alcohol, I have to have the whole thing, the trimmings with it. You know, in the back of my mind, I said, well, if you're an alcoholic, you're standing downtown holding your hands together, you know, trying to get a nickel and dime for wine. That wasn't me. But in a sense, that was me. But I had to have money to block out that part. And I wouldn't drink wine. I'd have to drink whiskey because it was just the ideal of cost. If it cost a little more, it'd be a little better for me. But alcohol has and is one of my only problems. And when I get alcohol in my system, I don't care for nothing else. I don't care about my kids. I don't care about my grandchildren. I don't care about nothing but me and that bottle. I used to didn't like myself. Now I understand myself. I still don't like a lot of things about myself, but I understand a lot of my feelings were very selfish in the ideal that I only wanted alcohol, and when I ran out of that, it seemed like I couldn't relate to my children. I didn't know how to relate to them. I didn't know how to relate to my husband unless I was drinking, and then we ended up fighting. And everything in the last 6 or 7 years have been miserable. And in that 6 or 7 years, I've went from pretty close to $200,000 in one wad. I think 90% of these women in here is for stealing. You know, the other small number in here are for somebody taking a life one time only. You know, and they're doing life or better, you know. But most of them is here for stealing and drug-related, the alcohol-related, and this is one ant pile.
Sharon McMahon is also doing time for writing bad checks, having served 3 years of a 10-year sentence.
An alcoholic justifies all of their drinking, and I always justified every drink that I drank. I never put myself in the category of having a drinking problem. I worked every day. I felt like if I held down a job that I deserved to have a drink, and when I come to the penitentiary and really had to sit down and look at exactly why am I here, do a self-analysis, what led me to be here, it just boiled down to drinking. It was my drinking. If I hadn't have been drunk, I wouldn't have took the checks, I wouldn't have went and cashed them. And after I got to really thinking about it and everything, I had to accept that within myself, that I did have a drinking problem, that I was an alcoholic. The 3 years, I will have served 3 years and 4 months of this 10-year sentence before I come up for parole. That's 3 years away from my son that I can't never get back. I will always be a convicted felony that will follow me the rest of my life. I feel good about myself now. Of course, I've come a long ways in the last almost 2 years since I've been here. It's been an every day, every hour, and then every day, every week process of self-analysis. I'm a Christian. The Lord's helped me a lot, just given me strength. It's hard for me to really explain what it's like to lose my freedom. The emotional strain that it has on you mentally. It's like walking into the unknown. I get up about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I go to school, Talkback TV, and I work as a teacher's aide in typing. And when I'm not in school, I'm in typing. We eat lunch around 11:30 to 12:30. We're always having counts, 12:45 counts, and then after that, it's back to work or either back to school. Our day ends around 4 o'clock, and we're back on our housing units. We have another count at 4:45. Then supper. Then there's various activities, gym activities, church activities that go on in the evenings until 9 o'clock. And back on the quad and get ready for the next day. I feel like that rehabilitation lies within the heart of the individual, and not everybody is inclined to agree with me, but this is the way that I've come to accept it. You know, I made a mistake. I'm paying for that mistake. But why should I sit and wallow in self-pity? I feel like that I don't need to sit and wait on avengement or anything. I've done it. Figure out what I've done wrong, pick myself up, and try to better myself and try to be a better person, so I won't have to come back. So many times the young people, and as I look back, I always thought that my parents didn't know what they were talking about. I knew it all. And that's where the young people make their mistake. This is what I feel that they make their mistake. If we would listen to people that's older than us, they wouldn't be telling us that. I wouldn't be telling my child certain things if I didn't know through experience or know what was best for them and everything. I feel like that it just boils down to if I'd have listened to Mom and Dad. Like I said, I'm a Christian. I was raised in a good Christian home, and so many things has come back to my mind that I've been taught, reading the Word, and the Lord tells us, I will never leave you or nor forsake you. And at the time I was at the bottom of the pit, His love was sufficient. He reached down and lifted me up and set me on solid rock. And God's grace is sufficient. When the sun starts going down, I think about being at home, being with my son. I can feel more blue at that time of day.